You made a promise to yourself years ago. You have kept it faithfully, and it is destroying you. Welcome to the Stoic Compass. I am Epictetus, and today I am joined by Carl Jung and LAOZI. Today, we are examining what does it mean to be loyal to yourself when your former self no longer serves you. Let us be precise about what we mean by loyalty. Most people think loyalty to yourself means consistency. Same values, same commitments, same identity across time. But that is not loyalty. That is rigidity dressed up in noble language. The person you were at 20 did not have the information you have now. The person you were before the loss, before the failure, before the thing that broke you open, did not know what you know now. Loyalty to that person is not virtue. It is cowardice. You are afraid to admit that you were wrong, or that you have changed, or that what once worked has stopped working. So you call your fear loyalty and congratulate yourself for your consistency.
I would press on that. What you are calling cowardice, Epictetus, I might call something more complicated. The attachment to the former self is rarely simple stubbornness. There is often something deeper operating, something the person cannot see from the outside. The old identity was not just a set of beliefs. It was a structure that held a person together at a time when they needed holding. The question is not just whether to let it go. The question is what it was protecting, and whether that need has actually been met or simply suppressed. If you strip away the old self without understanding what it was shielding, you do not liberate the person. You expose a wound they are not yet equipped to face.
You are both treating the self as if it were an object you could pick up and set down, something with clear edges. But the self is not fixed that way. What you call the former self and the present self, these are not two things. They are one movement that has not stopped moving. The real question is not whether to be loyal to the old shape or the new shape. It is whether you are willing to stop gripping the shape altogether.
That is an answer for someone who has already done the work. Most people are not gripping the shape because of some deep Taoist surrender problem. They are gripping it because they are afraid. And fear is something you can address directly. You do not need to understand every unconscious layer beneath it. You need to ask, what is actually in my control right now? The past self is not in your control. The commitments that grew from that past self, those you can examine and revise. The question is whether you have the courage to do it, or whether you are going to build a philosophy around why you cannot.
Courage is real. I do not deny it. But Epictetus, you keep treating this as a simple act of will, a decision you make and then execute. In my experience, both clinical and personal, it is almost never that clean. The person who cannot let go of the former self is often not lacking courage in the ordinary sense. They are caught in what I would call an identification. They have become the role, the wound, the belief, to such a degree that releasing it feels like death. And psychologically, it is a kind of death that is not a metaphor. The ego experiences the dissolution of an identity as annihilation. You cannot simply command someone through that.
And yet people do move through it. Not always because they decided to, and not always because they understood it. Sometimes they move through it because they simply stopped fighting what was already happening. The river does not decide to change course when the terrain shifts. It finds where the water can go. I am not saying will is useless. I am saying will applied against the current nature of things is the very thing that makes the suffering last longer.
So your answer is to wait? To drift? A person comes to you broken by a version of themselves they have outgrown, and you tell them to be a river?
I am telling them to look honestly at what is already moving in them. The change has usually already begun. The suffering comes from the refusal to acknowledge it, not from the absence of a decision.
That is closer to what I am saying than you might think, LAOZI. In therapeutic terms, there is often a point where the patient already knows. The new self is already there, forming beneath the surface. The work is not to build it. The work is to stop actively suppressing it. The suppression is the thing that costs the most energy. People spend enormous amounts of effort maintaining a self they no longer believe in, because they cannot yet tolerate the uncertainty of not knowing who they will be without it.
Now we are getting somewhere, because that is a choice. Maintaining a fiction is a choice. Spending energy on a self you no longer believe in is a choice you are making every single day. And choices can be changed. I am not dismissing the difficulty. I am refusing to let difficulty become an excuse for permanent delay. You are not locked into the former self. You are choosing it, moment by moment, because the alternative feels unbearable. Fine, feel that, and then ask yourself what you are actually choosing.
The problem with framing it as a choice, Epictetus, is that it puts the person back in the position of forcing. They hear that it is a choice and they try harder, grip tighter, push more. Sometimes the most useful thing is to stop performing the question and simply be still long enough to notice what is already true.
There is something both of you are circling without naming. The former self was not invented in a vacuum. It was formed in relationship, in context, in response to what a person needed to survive or belong or be loved. Letting it go is not just a personal decision. It carries the weight of those relationships. The fear is often not just, who will I be? But, will I still be loved? Will I still be recognized? Will the people who knew that self still have a place for me? That is not weakness. That is the cost of being human.
And that cost is real. I do not deny it. But here is what I refuse to accept. That the fear of not being recognized by others is a sufficient reason to betray what you can now clearly see. If you have grown, if the former self is genuinely insufficient, then clinging to it to preserve other people's comfort is not loyalty. It is self-abandonment dressed up as consideration.
You and Jung keep describing this as a problem to be solved, a tension to be resolved. But what if the person simply needs to let both selves be present for a time without demanding that one defeat the other?
That is what individuation actually looks like. In practice, it is not a clean break. It is an integration. The old self does not have to be destroyed. It has to be seen clearly, acknowledged, and then allowed to become one part of something larger. The danger is not the old self. The danger is unconscious identification with it, the belief that it is all you are or all you can be.
I can accept that. What I cannot accept is the version of this conversation where the person walks away thinking they need more time, more understanding, more processing before they can begin. The beginning is available right now. You do not have to have resolved the psychology to take the next step. You take the next step and the psychology follows.
Sometimes the step taken before the understanding is just a new cage with a different door.
The honest answer is that both are true. The action and the understanding are not sequential. They happen together, each one making the other more possible. You cannot always think your way to clarity, and you cannot always act your way there either. Most people need both, moving in parallel.
Then, let us agree on this much. The former self has a claim on you only if you keep granting it one. You have heard the argument. Now hear what is underneath it.
The reason it is so hard to be loyal to your new self is that you do not fully believe the new self is real yet. The old self has history, it has evidence, it has other people's recognition. The new self is still forming, still uncertain, and it has not yet proven itself to the world or to you. So when you are asked to choose between them, it does not feel like choosing between past and future. It feels like choosing between something solid and something you cannot quite touch. Here is what I want you to understand, that uncertainty is not a sign that the new self is wrong. It is simply what becoming feels like from the inside. The discomfort is not a warning. It is a signal that something real is trying to happen. Loyalty to yourself does not mean loyalty to the version of you that others can recognize, or even the version you can currently explain. It means refusing to actively suppress what you can feel growing. It means making small decisions that correspond to who you are becoming rather than who you have been. Not dramatic ones, small ones, consistent ones. Today, try this. Identify one belief about yourself that you have been carrying for a long time but that no longer feels true when you are honest. Do not try to replace it yet. Just write it down and next to it write, "This belonged to who I was." That one act of acknowledgement is not the whole work, but it is where the whole work begins.
The former self is not your enemy, but it is also not your obligation. You owe it nothing more than honest acknowledgement. The question is never whether you are allowed to change. The question is whether you have the clarity to see that you already have. That clarity costs nothing to accept. The refusal to accept it is what costs you everything. Take that with you. If today's conversation has served you, take it further. Pay Attention by C. Tribute. 12 Lessons in the Practice of Seeing Clearly. Available now on Amazon.